Good morning, my loves. I am sitting here again in my apartment and thinking a lot about you as writers and thinking about what I could teach you to help you come up with ideas. And I got to thinking about what we did yesterday. We were thinking about people that really matter to us. And sometimes we could also think about places that matter to us. So, yesterday, I was actually working with a student, and every time I asked the student, um, a question, his answer was, "I don't know." What's your favorite food? I don't know. What's your favorite place? I don't know. Where do you go on vacation? I don't know. And so I understand that because sometimes there's a resistance, and that resistance is kind of like a wall, and you have to climb over it in order to get to the other side and see all of your possibility. And so I want to help you if you're that student, if you're that person that just like doesn't know and you just can't, you're just not there. I got to help you with this. Also, I think about the metaphor for me, it's always with exercise. But for me with exercise, that I don't know is I can't. And every time you say I can't, you could also say I can. Every time you say I don't know, you can also say, oh, I know. You can like just change it. You can just change the way you think about it. And and as soon as you do, there's possibility again. There's hope. There's a chance. So I'm going to share with you my screen because today we're going to try something that I think is going to be helpful. And it always goes to this place, and I don't want it to. Here it is. Okay. So I want us today to think about places that matter to us. So I started thinking for me, I can model this for you. A place that matters to me is a place that that gives me memories, that it's a place that I can go to. It's a place that has happy memories there, sad memories there. It's a place that I frequent. So if you're that person that when I say, well, think of a place that really matters to you, and you go, I don't know, just think of a place. All right, well, a place could be my bedroom. That's a place that I go to. My kitchen. I spend a lot of time in my kitchen. Likely you spend a lot of time in your bedroom, so that could be one of the places that matters to you. I don't personally have a country house, but I know a lot of kids do. That could be a place that matters to you. You definitely go to school. That can be a place that matters to you. It could matter to you for different reasons. It could be important to you because it's a place that you don't like. It could be a place that you do like. It could be a place where you succeed. It could be a place where you fail. Whether you do or you don't, it's still a place that matters. It has importance in your life in some way. My backyard, a park, my front stoop. These are places that I go to that give me memories. Well, I thought about my classroom because I spend a lot of time, I've been teaching for 20 something years. I spend a lot of time in a classroom. So it's definitely a place that matters. Mm. So then I start thinking about, well, what are some of the things that have happened in these places? Well, what are some of the things that have happened in my classroom? I've had kids barf. I've had kids barf on me. That might make a really good story. Lessons that I taught that went terribly wrong. I thought it was a good idea when I thought of it in my head, and then when I actually did it, it wasn't. Parent-teacher conferences that went terribly wrong or that went terribly right. Crying during parent-teacher conferences. Having the flu during a parent-teacher conference and actually going through with it anyway. Staying late, coming in early. The mouse that sent me through the hallways screaming. And then I thought of the bird. So I decided I was going to write a story about the bird. And now some of you might have heard this. If you're like one of 8 people that was in school yesterday, then you might have heard this story because I told it. Because it's a good one. I decided to give it a title. I'm calling it The Early Bird Gets the Worm and Sometimes the Teacher. There was a time. Now I want you to notice when you listen to this story that there's things happening, there's action, there's a little dialogue, and there's some personal like thinking going on. So think about where there's action, where there's movement, think about where there's talking, and think about where I kind of go off and I think. There was a time when I always arrived to school early, 6:45, just when Doris was arriving. Sometimes I'd have to ring the bell so that Mike would open for me. "What are you doing here so early?" he'd ask. "I don't know, I just get my best work done when it's quiet," I'd say. But really, it was because I was then and still am very disorganized, and so it takes me longer to get things done. Every once in a while, I'd arrive when my dear friend and then colleague, Joaquin, was also in school. Like me, he was an early bird, but not for the same reasons. I think he just liked the quiet of the classroom during that calm before the storm. His classroom was across the hall. On this particular day in June, I had arrived when the sun was already up. It was warm, and I had mistakenly left my classroom windows open, something Igor told us not to do, and for many reasons. Well, this was the day I learned about one of the reasons. I headed up the stairs, bags weighing me down, and then through the double doors to room 308, a class on the back side of the school, where the trees clustered and reminded me of the four seasons. I rummaged through my bag, found the key, and opened the door to my classroom. It only took a second for me to step through when a monster of a bird flapped his wings and all but attacked me, sending me clear across the classroom, the hallways, screaming, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Joaquin, there's a bird in my room!" Ah! Surely I was heard in New Jersey. "Just calm down, Nance," Joaquin assured in his always loving voice. "It's okay. What happened?" He hadn't understood me through all of the screaming. Now, what you need to know about Joaquin is that he was, is, and always will be the most calming human there is. He gently led me back to my room and said, "Let's have a look. It's okay." The monster was in my sink, and it wasn't a monster at all. In fact, it couldn't have been any smaller. The little friend was green and shared and scared and beautiful. Joaquin said to the bird, "It's okay. I have you," and proceeded to pick it up with his bare and dry erase markered hands. He walked over to the window, climbed on a chair, and let the beautiful and frightened friend free. I never forgot to close my windows again. The story has a lot of work to be done. If I wanted to publish that story, I would have to go back in and I would be thinking about the verbs that I'm going to choose, and I'd be thinking about action and dialogue and internal thinking. But I really like the way the story is right now so far. It's just a thought for you to remember that you're not done. So when you say, "I'm done, what should I do next?" I'm going to be like, "No, you're not. You're not done." You're like, "Yes, I am." I'm like, "No, you're not. You're never done." I read a preface to one of Barack Obama's books, and it was a republished. He had published the book and then he republished it. But when you republish a book, you can't change anything. But he was allowed to change the preface. And what he said in the beginning of this book was that if he could go back and change things, he would. Because when he wrote it, it was like, wow, it was great. But then when he went back and reread it, it was like, which is exactly what happened to me yesterday. I wrote this story yesterday about a place that mattered to me, and I wrote about Hawaii. But last night when I read it to my husband, I was like, I don't really like the story. I loved it when I wrote it, but when I went back and reread it, I was like, oh, this isn't good. I mean, we're kind of tough on ourselves, so it's okay to do that sometimes. When it comes to your writing, be a critic and like judge your work and see if you can fix it. But for now, I just want you to get it out of your head and onto the paper. So you're going to think about a place that you love. You're going to think about stories that have happened in that place that you love. Pick one of those stories and write long. Give it your best shot and let me know how it works out for you. Mwah.